Welcome to my podcast, guys. If you are here to work on your relationship with your child, then you are for sure in the right space because you will always have to work on your relationship with yourself. And this is what I offer here on my podcast. So if you listen to my podcast and hear things that are not obviously related to your son, listen on, because whatever you improve in your relationship with yourself will automatically improve all of your relationships, including with your son. So welcome and enjoy. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're listening. For me, it's good morning right now. I want to share with you a conversation I had with one of my sons last night, and here's what I said to him. I said, I have to tell you something. I have to tell you something about love that is super important. This has to be said. And here's a little bit of background. Is one of my sons has been asking me to tell him words of praise, right? He's been saying, tell me more, tell me how much you love me. And it's been... And I have been telling him, but there have been times where I would tell him and he would not be happy. You know, there were times where he would be happy and there were other times where he would be sad. Either he would be sad that I'm going to be leaving and I'm not going to stay with him, or he would be sad that I was upset at him at some point of the day. And so it's been a kind of back and forth like yo-yo, where he would not be feeling loved. He would not be feeling secure. And of course, me trying to do my best, I was trying to make him feel loved as much as I could. I was like, okay, dear, I love you 100, da, 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 da. And it got really exhausting. And here's what I told him. I really leveled with him. I talk to him like I would to an adult, and this helped me so much in my own relationship with specifically my husband. Here's what I said. I said, this is what I have to tell you about love. I used to do the same thing with Doug. I said, with your papa. I would feel insecure and I would be worried if he loves me still. I would ask him, are we still good? Do you still love me? Do you still like me? Are we still boyfriend and girlfriend? Or, are we still husband and wife, right? And I would be feeling insecure and I would kind of be wanting to ask him and wanted to hear it, especially if we're apart for a certain amount of time. And then I would feel better for a little bit, right? And then I would go back to the same kind of worry. And that got exhausting for me because I was worried and not feeling loved. And that, of course, got exhausting for my husband. And he would always tell me, yeah, everything's great. Nothing has changed. I still love you. And I am so grateful for finding out this part that really set me free, that really got me out of the whole cycle of going to Doug and asking him if he loves me. And this is what it is that I learned, that I told my son, is that I cannot feel my husband's love for me. Like, I cannot feel it because he feels his own love when he tells me that, because he creates the feelings in his body. When he says he loves me, he feels it. And when I feel the love, it's because I'm thinking thoughts that create love for me. And sometimes, and that's why I wanted him to, because I couldn't create it for myself on my own, I would need him to prompt it for me. And I'm like, okay, okay, fine. I believe you now. Okay. And so for the evening or the 5 minutes that he would tell me, then I would kind of relax and I believe it until the next day, till I forget. And the doubt would creep in and the habitual doubt would be there and I would not feel love again. So as soon as that sunk in, those are two totally different things, that I can create that for myself. The neediness and the urgency to ask him went away. That part of our relationship completely disappeared. completely. As soon as I would feel insecure about me and him, I would ask myself what's going on, and I would just kind of realign myself and tell myself everything's fine. Like, Doug, he's good. Like, and I would know when I'm being unreasonable or insecure, and I would know when I'm not being when I don't have anything to be worried about, and I know it's related to something else. And also, it was just a decision that I would make that we're good. Like, we are good. I know we're good. He's loves me. We're secure. Right. And that had to be done for us to relax and actually enjoy the relationship. Because if you're always worried about the relationship, you're not enjoying being in it. And that's what was happening for my son. And I had to tell him, because I'm like, dude, this is exhausting. I love you, but I can't keep always comfort you. And it doesn't even work. That's the thing. I'm like, it doesn't even work, because you're ultimately in charge of how you're feeling. And the example I gave him, I think it sunk in because he was quiet and he was listening. And I think there were some really good seeds planted last night in that conversation. And I feel like I nailed it. I'm like, holy crap. Like, this is super important for him to know, for all of his relationships, for him and his future partner. I think it's necessary for him to know that, to be free, to not be so needy with other people. And so I told him, I said, imagine if you have a friend and now you're best friends, and this good friend of yours, best friend, really loves playing with you. But now he says, oh my gosh, you're my best friend. Can you call me tonight and tell me that you're my best friend? You're like, yeah, sure. I really like you. I like playing with you. I'll call you. So you call him and you tell him, you're my best friend. He's like, oh, thank you so much. Okay, can you call me tomorrow night and tell me you're my best friend? And he is like, okay, okay, sure. And so the next night you call him and you say, you're my best friend still. And he's like, oh, awesome. Okay, can you call me tomorrow morning and tell me you're my best friend? The boy says. And then you meet him at school, and he sees you playing with other kids, and he comes over to you and says, oh, are we still best friends? Okay, good. You're still best friends. Okay, can you call me again tonight? And I really need to hear it, okay? And so after like the fifth night, you kind of come to me and say, oh, I like this playing with this guy, but he kind of wants me to tell him that I'm his best friend. It's kind of getting tired. I didn't want to do that. I like playing with him. I like talking to him, but this part I don't like at all. And meanwhile, you're still good friends with him, right? So I painted that picture for him, and I said to him, like, this poor boy, right? Even though you guys are best friends, because he's thinking thoughts that are creating this insecurity for him, and then he's starting to ask for your words to tell him, because he can't create it for himself, right? And even though you are his best friend and you want to tell him, it doesn't solve the problem. He still is insecure, and it kind of patches it up temporarily until the next time he needs you to tell him, right? So ultimately, it's up to him to decide that you're best friends and it's a done deal, and never to worry about it again. And it's kind of exhausting, right? For you on the receiving end of that, it's exhausting. And for him, it's exhausting to always be worried, right? So that is a conversation I had with my son. And that I feel like that is the ultimate freedom you can have in any relationship, is to be okay no matter what they do, right? In terms of like knowing, if you want to feel secure and loved and wanted, you can do that and not need constant affirmations about it and not be worried about it. Of course, I do encourage, right, to keep your standards, to not lower them. And, if somebody cheats on you or if somebody doesn't want to talk to you, right? I'm not encouraging you to be delusional about it in a way that, yeah, everything's fine. But so often in in our everyday life, we are worried for no good reason. And that's what I want you to create, that security for yourself, without having to go somewhere else. Right? And like, hopefully you have such a patient husband as I do that would, assure you that everything is fine as long as he did, and until you can do that for yourself. And, but I think it saves so much unnecessary wasted energy for us to skip all that stuff and just skip unnecessary worry and just decide everything is great. I'm loved, I'm wanted, and this is good, right? So I wanted to tell you that conversation with my son, and because I want you to be free in all your relationships. All right, my friends, I have a wonderful week. We have a whole week of complete polar vortex here. It's super cold. We have to bundle up so much still, but it's been good. We've been going outside a little bit. We still can't ski, which we really want to do. And my kids are finding flip-flops in the house and wearing shorts, and they're asking for summer. Where's summer? So I hope your week is going well, and I hope everyone's healthy. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.